You need to unmute, Swamiji.
Guru Ma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampara. We will be commencing the discussion on the text Advaita Makaranda. Makaranda simply means honey or nectar, one can say. That is there in the flower. So, some people admire the flower from far, its beauty, the colors, the form, the shape of the petals, and so on. Some people come closer and enjoy the fragrance also. But only the bee gets deep into it and enjoys the nectar or the honey on the flower. Similarly, this Upanishadic mantras are also like that. Upanishadic mantras are the flowers, and some people, they listen to it, they enjoy listening to that, or they enjoy chanting also, reading and chanting. Some of them may further go after reading to do some reflection also. And those who reflect, out of them maybe a few will go to contemplate. And very rare of one of them, they will follow it up to convert that paroksha jnana into aparoksha anubhuti. So this makaranda, this honey, this nectar, that is Advaita, Advaita Brahman. So that is the text all about in simple terms. Vedantic text, actually, they are the Shastras, and Advaita Makaranda is a Prakarana Grantha. Vedanta deals with all aspects, whereas this Prakarana Grantha deals with only one or two aspects, not everything. That is the limitation there. So, most important thing that is discussed in the Upanishads, that is the oneness of Brahma and Jiva, Brahmatmaikyam. That is the main theme of Upanishad. Advaita Makaranda is actually meant for advanced sadhakas, those who have done some Vedantic study. For them it is meant. And after the preliminary study of Vedanta, still there is some doubt. Because the doubt is regarding how can a finite Jiva be the infinite Brahman. That is very difficult to digest. A finite Tuchha Jiva, Vedanta says that that is infinite Brahman. That is not easy to digest, not easy to understand. How can that be possible? So this doubt arises. Now this doubt arises because we have more faith in our limited means of knowledge. So we have more faith on our own sense organs, on our own mind and intellect, and what it gathers, what it is capable of, rather than on the scriptures. So we do not have, and then what we find is that the scriptural knowledge is contrary to what the means of knowledge which we have, they tell us. And therefore it is difficult to accept it. Scriptures tell us three principles, that is the most important thing that the scriptures discuss. Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya, and Brahmatmaikya. That is Jiva and Brahman, they are one. So this is what the Shruti says. But then our means of knowledge which we use to acquire knowledge of this world, that is contrary to what the Shruti says, and therefore if we have doubts, it is not easy to accept what the Shruti says. And we are used to using this means of knowledge for lives together. So there is a lack of Shraddha in the Shruti. But one who has faith, he will follow up on the Lakshartha, the indicative meaning of the scriptural text, and then pursue it to the end and realize the self. Now, there are different means of knowledge. The first is that what we rely on profusely is on the Pratyaksha Pramana. Pratyaksha Pramana means that gives the instant knowledge. I see, and then I say that I have seen it with my own eyes, so I believe it. I accept it. That's it. Or I hear, or somebody tells me, somebody authoritative person tells me, and I accept that. Something like that. So Pratyaksha Pramana. I hear or I see myself. So that is Pratyaksha. Now generally, Pratyaksha Pramana is Tatkal. People say instantly we get the knowledge. Whereas the Upanishadic Pramana, we don't get instant knowledge. That is the argument by most people. Now Pratyaksha Pramana also has got its limitation. It may give an instant knowledge, but it is not necessarily the valid means of knowledge, or it is not necessarily true also. One sees a snake with his own eyes and then finally discovers that it was only a rope. Or sees the water and then discovers it was only a mirage water. Or we see with our own eyes the Pratyaksha Pramana, Tatkal, the rising and the setting of the sun, but sun doesn't rise or set. So this is what the Pratyaksha Pramana is. It has got its own limitation. And it is not that Upanishadic knowledge is not Tatkal. The argument is that Pratyaksha Pramana is Tatkal. Immediately we get the knowledge. So the thing is that this also, Upanishadic knowledge is also Tatkal. But that depends upon who is listening to this knowledge. You see, the time taken is only the time taken to become an Uttam Adhikari or an Ati Uttam Adhikari. The one who is already an Ati Uttam Adhikari, for him it is Tatkal. As soon as he hears the statement Tattvamasi, he realizes Aham Brahmasmi. So for him it is Tatkal. Just because somebody is just a sadhaka or an Adham Adhikari, for him it is not a Tatkal, so that doesn't mean that it is not Tatkal. So like Pratyaksha Pramana, Upanishadic Pramana is also, Shruti Pramana is also Tatkal, provided one is Adhikari for that. So it is not that just the Pratyaksha Pramana is Tatkal. Again, as we said, Pratyaksha Pramana may be the means of knowledge, but it is sometimes it is not valid, it is not true also. So for an Adhikari, this knowledge is Tatkal. For Uttam Adhikari or an Ati Uttam Adhikari. So the time taken is the only time taken to become an Uttam Adhikari. Actually, converting Paroksha Jnana into Aparoksha Bodha, that takes time. Why does it take time? Only it takes time because of Badha or the obstacles. So obstacles of our own mind. The obstacles of vasanas, obstacles of sanskara, obstacles of habits that we have developed over so many lives together. To get rid of all those things, it takes time. Once we get rid of those things, then it is very easy. So the first pramana, this Pratyaksha Pramana, doesn't work. Then the next pramana that is used generally for the knowledge that we gather in this world is Anumana Pramana. Anumana Pramana, that is, we infer something through reference of something. Like for example, when we see smoke, then we infer that there must be fire. So with the reference of smoke, then we get to this inference, this knowledge that there is fire there. So this is called as Anumana Pramana. Then we have Upama Pramana. Upama Pramana is arriving at a knowledge through comparison. Now a speaker is telling to the listener he is talking about an object X. And then he says that this X is like A. Now the listener has not seen X, but he has seen A and he knows how A is. So the speaker is telling the listener that this X is like the object A. So when he sees X, he'll be able to recognize, because he knows A very well. So it is similar to A. So he'll be able to recognize it. This is called as Upama Pramana. So Pratyaksha Pramana, Anumana Pramana, and then Upama Pramana. Then finally we have this Shabda Pramana, either spoken or written word. So where inference is drawn through the spoken or written word. Now one hears the words, but then without knowing the meaning, then we have to think over it, reflect over that. So Chintanam is required to understand the meaning of the word. Now out of these Pramana, which is the Prabala Pramana? Prabala Pramana means very strong authority or the strong means of knowledge, which is the Prabala Pramana. That again depends upon the object of knowledge. Which is the strongest means of knowledge, that depends upon the object of knowledge. What is the object of knowledge? For example, if I want to know the color of an object, so if I close my eyes and just by merely touching it, I can't know the color of that object. I may somehow try to get a knowledge of the shape of that object by touching it, by feeling it, the hardness, softness, the shape and things like that, but I will not get the knowledge of its color. So the Prabala Pramana to know the color is eyes. So eyes are the Prabala Pramana for colors, knowing the colors. So which is the Prabala Pramana then for the knowing of the self? The Prabala Pramana to know the self is the Shruti Jnana, because all these means of knowledge, that is the Pratyaksha Pramana, Anuman Pramana, Upama Pramana and Shabda Pramana, they are valid where the things are in the objective world, but not where the self is concerned. That is not valid. So self is not because self is not an object of knowledge. If there is an object of knowledge, these four things will be valid there. But self is not an object of knowledge, so it will not be valid there. So here Pratyaksha Pramana is not a Prabala Pramana, it is actually a Durbal Pramana to know the self. So Pratyaksha Pramana we cannot use to know the self, it is Durbala Pramana. So here Shruti Pramana is the Prabala Pramana. So that is Pratyaksha Pramana can be valid up to a certain limit only, not beyond that. That too in the relative existence or in the relative field at all. That's all. But not in the realms of the self, which is not an object of knowledge. In the scriptures also, we have various scriptures, Shruti, Smriti, Puranas, Itihasas, and the writings of statements of great saints, sages, and masters. But the ultimate authority and ultimate Pramana is the Shruti Pramana, that is the Prabala Pramana. So once we experience the Shruti knowledge, the knowledge of the scriptures, we find that this Shruti Pramana, which is the Prabala Pramana, it actually supports all the other four Pramanas, Pratyaksha, Anuman, Upama and Shabda Pramana. So this is the Adhara or the support of the other Pramanas. But Shruti Pramana is the Prabala Pramana to know the self. No other means, through no other means we can know the self. To know the self, it is the Shruti Pramana alone. Now the author of this text, Advaita Makaranda, is Lakshmidhar Kavi. He also wrote Amrita Tarangini and Bhagavad Nama Kaumudi, which means fragrance of the glory of the Lord. So these are the other two texts that he has written, composed. And Makaranda, as we saw, is the hidden honey in the flower. Similarly, Brahman is also hidden in the flower called the Jiva. So here the flower is taken as Jiva and Brahman is the hidden honey. So now we have to get to the depth of our own self to recognize that. true Shruti Pramana. Now, the commentary written on this particular text is by Swami Tejomananji. And before starting the text, he has composed some verses and expressed gratitude towards the Puja Gurudev, or Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananji. Krutajnata. A few shlokas he has composed. We will see that we have to express our gratitude to the Guru Shishya Parampara, the tradition of the master disciple that has come to us, and without whom we will never have got this knowledge. So we have to always express our gratitudes to them. Krutajnata. So we'll see these shlokas. They are beautifully composed by Swami Tejomananji, a disciple's expression of gratitude to his Gurudev, Param Puja Gurudev. Samasta jana kalyane niratam karunamayam namami chinmayam devam sadgurum brahma vidvaram. Salutations to Sadguru Chinmaya, the best among knowers of Brahman, who is all compassion and remains ever engaged in the welfare of all people. Then Sanskrute Viksha Hanim cha Bharatasya cha Dustitam Dravitam Hridayam Yasya Vandeham Tam Mahamunim. I salute that great sage whose heart melts seeing the decline in the culture and India's sad condition. Nishkriya karuna kwapi safalana bhavishyati iti matva sarvadaiva karmani vartate yati. Knowing fully well that nowhere does passive compassion serve any purpose, he always remains engaged in karma. Swayam kurvan karayanscha karmani vividhani yaha asakta sarva karyeshu vartate sarvada chasa. Himself doing and inspiring others to do various projects, he ever remains unattached in all forms, in all of them. Jnana yajna pracharam cha brahmachari prashikshanam shruti smriti puranadi vyakhya grantha prakashanam. Propagation of jnana yajnas, training of brahmacharis, publication of commentaries on Upanishads, Gita, Puranas and other books. Balakeshu cha sanskarah vicharo yuvakeshu cha dharmanistha desha bhaktihi loka seva tathaiva cha. Noble sanskara among children and right thinking among youth, and so also firm abidance in one's duties, patriotism and service of people. Yatha vruddhim prapnuvanti tatha yatnam karoti saha sarvada sarva bhavena sadgururno yatishwaraha. As these will grow, so does our Sadguru, the Lord of ascetics, puts forth efforts consistently and wholeheartedly. Ye gunaha sarva shastreshu varnyante brahmajnaninam tairayam sarvada purnaha rajate sarva yoginam. Fully endowed with the virtues of knowers of Brahman, as described in all scriptures, he ever shines among all yogis. Nirguno nischala nishtha saguno sarasarati sangamo madhuraschayam deshike mahatmani. In our Mahatma teacher, there is a sweet confluence of the firm abidance in Nirguna and joys reveling in Saguna. Aneka janmarjita punya praptah maya guru jagati prasiddhah yasya prasadena manah prashantam babhuva metam shirisa namami. I found the world famous Guru due to merits acquired in my countless lives. I bow down to him by whose grace my mind has attained peace. Kutajnataya cha hridhi sthita me vaktum na shakyam khalu yatnatopi Guru prasida krupaya videhi tvatpada bhakti paramanuragtim. The gratitude in my heart can never be expressed fully in spite of my best efforts. O teacher, be gracious and bless me with devotion of the nature of supreme love to your feet. So this is expression by Swami Tejomananda towards Param Puja Gurudev. We should always be express our gratitude to him through which we acquire this knowledge. Now we begin the text proper, Advaita Makaranda. Now all the great teachers who have composed text, and it is our tradition to invoke the Lord. So always the text begins with a Mangala Shloka. So as the tradition is, so Lakshmidhar Kavi also commences his work, this Advaita Makaranda, with a prayer or a Mangal Shloka to his Guru and his Ishta Devata to invoke their grace and blessings and also auspiciousness to begin this auspicious work. Every Acharya, Advaita Acharya, they have their own Guru and of course the Ishta Devata. So, Guru of Lakshmidhar Kavi is Anantananda Swami and his Ishta Devata is Sri Krishna. So, in this Mangala Shloka, he invokes their grace and blessings also. In this first Shloka, Kataksha Kirana Chanta Naman Mohabdaye Namaha Anantananda Krishnaya Jagan Mangala Murtaye. Kataksha Kirana Achanta Namat Moha Abdaye Namaha Anantananda Krishnaya Jagat Mangala Murtaye. Now, Namaha. Namaha, salutations. Salutations to, now here, invoking the grace of his Guru and the Lord Ishta Devata, he says Namaha, Namaha, salutations to Anantananda Krishnaya. Now, Anantananda Krishnaya, according to our tradition also, it is said that if we don't take the name of our parents, teachers, elders disrespectfully or casually also like that. So whenever the name is taken, it is taken with reference, with reverence rather. So here also now, directly, he doesn't take the name of his Guru. He takes it indirectly. So Anantananda Krishnaya. So he has added the name of his Guru with Krishna. Now this can mean also Krishna of the nature of infinite bliss. Ananta is infinite, Ananda is bliss. So Krishna of the nature of infinite bliss. That can be said. Or it can be said that he is propitiating his Guru as well as his Ishta Devata, Anantananda Krishnaya. So that way, Anantananda Krishnaya, infinite bliss. Krish actually means Satswarupa. And Na is Ananda. Here, Kru plus Sha. Therefore, this Na has become Na. And therefore, this Krishna is Ananda Swarupa. Now, Nama, salutation to this Anantananda Krishna. Then, he has put the name together. His Guru's name and the Lord's name together he has put. So, that means that this is salutations to them. Thus, there is no difference between Guru and the Ishvara as well as Jiva. They, all the three are one. That is, when one surrenders to Lord Krishna and identifies himself with Lord Krishna, then this Guru and Krishna and the Jiva, they are all one. They are the same. So, Namat is surrender. Nama is salutations, Namat is surrender. So, Namat is that Bhakta, that devotee who surrenders to him. Then Kirana, Kirana is the ray. This is Sadhya Vachaka in the form of ray, this Kirana. So, the ray of gracious glance. Kataksha Kirana, that is the greatest gracious glance. Kataksha Kirana. and Achanta Moha Abdaye. Achanta Moha Abdaye. Just by his gracious glance, he swallows the ocean, shoreless ocean of delusion, the one who has surrendered to him. So, Achanta Moha Abdaye. Now, Moha Abdaye. Moha Abdaye is the ocean, shoreless ocean of delusion. Now, what is this delusion? In the ocean, there are waves and breakers. They are, of course, the confusions and agitations in our own mind. Apart from that, in the ocean, there are terrible marine creatures also like sharks, etc. And these are our own modifications of the mind like Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. The desires, anger, greed, then jealousy, anger, arrogance, and so on. So these are the different modifications. Apart from that, Raga, Dvesha. So these are the terrible marine creatures. So now we have to cross this ocean of delusion and we need his grace. You see, blessings, all of us have right on blessings, whether it is of a saint or a master or Lord, we have the right over the blessings, but grace has to be earned. Now, as a seeker, as a spiritual seeker, we need grace. First is Ishvara Krupa. What is Ishvara Krupa? Ishvara Krupa, what is the sign that we have Ishvara Krupa? When we have an intense desire to study the scriptures and to know the truth. When that manifests in us, an intense desire to study the scriptures and know the truth, we have to understand that now we have the Ishvara Krupa. So everybody doesn't have this Ishvara Krupa. They may be staying next to a saint also, or they may be staying next to a satsang hall also, where these satsangs are going on, but he may not attend the satsang because there is no Ishvara Krupa there, because there is no intense desire to study the scripture and know the truth. So the very fact that we have an intense desire to study the scriptures and know the truth, that means we already have Ishvara Krupa. Then the next Krupa is the Guru Krupa. Guru Krupa manifests when we are accepted. As a seeker, we are accepted by a master as a student or a disciple, and his willingness to teach us also. So that is Guru Krupa. So the grace that he has accepted. So the two Krupas, one is Ishvara Krupa, then we have Guru Krupa, that he has accepted us to teach us. So that is Guru Krupa. Then we need another Krupa. The third Krupa is Shruti Krupa. Shruti Krupa, Shruti Mata showers grace by revealing the same truth in a variety of ways according to the physical, psychological, and intellectual capacities of the seeker as well as their level on the spiritual evolutionary path, the spiritual path. So accordingly, the truth is revealed in a variety of forms, and then so that it will be easy for the seeker to understand. So that is Shruti Krupa. When we understand that is Shruti Krupa. And then having these three Krupa is not enough if we have to take it to the logical conclusion of Aparoksha Bodha. Then these three Krupa is not enough. Then the fourth Krupa is Atma Krupa. Atma Krupa is very important. What is Atma Krupa? Atma Krupa is our own firm, very strong resolve that I will take it to the end. I will convert this Paroksha Jnana into Aparoksha Bodha. So that is called as Atma Krupa. When we have that strong determination, a strong determination to take it to the logical conclusion of converting the Paroksha Jnana into Aparoksha Bodha, then Atma Krupa has descended in us. So we need this four Krupa: Ishvara Krupa, Guru Krupa, Shruti Krupa, and Atma Krupa. When these four Krupas are there, then only we become successful on the spiritual path. Otherwise, we are half-baked only, somewhere here or there, somewhere in between, like that. So these are required. Now, the essence of this Shruti revelation is the identity between Brahma and Atman, or Brahma and Jiva. Brahmatma and Jivatma. Now, the following shlokas will establish that identity between Brahma and Jiva. Shruti indicates Brahma is of the nature of this existence, consciousness, bliss, that is Satchidananda. And then Jiva is also, Atman is also the same Brahma Swarupa. Now this is logically established. How this author of this text, Lakshmidhar Kavi, he logically establishes this. This we'll see in the following shlokas. We'll take up for discussion the second shloka. Ahamasmi sada bhami kadachinnaham apriyah brahmaivahamata siddham Satchidananda Lakshanam. Ahamasmi sada bhami kadachit na aham apriyah brahma eva aham atah siddham Satchidananda Lakshanam. Now, aham asmi sada. So I am, I exist, sada, always. I exist, I am, sada, always. So now, how do we establish that I exist always? Because superficially, if you look at it, it is not possible, because we identify ourselves with the body, mind, intellect, equipment, and we see that the bodies perish. And then we also see that how many people have perished before us, but the world continues. The world as it is continues, with all its objects, it continues, and we perish. So, if we consider ourselves to be the body, sense organs, mind, and the intellect, or the pranamaya kosha, then of course, then this statement aham asmi sada will be wrong, because they are all perishing things. Body, mind, intellect, and so on. So that can't be that. So I have to be an entity other than this body, mind, intellect, and sense organs and all that thing. So I have to be an entity other than that to exist, that continuously exist. Whether these body, mind, intellect, equipment are there or not there, their presence or absence should not affect my existence. So how do you arrive at that? Aham asmi sada. So aham asmi and then sada bhami. So this I am, and I am always, I exist always, and this aham experience, it is chetan, not jadam. You see? So sada bhami, always I am chit swarupa. Always I am chit swarupa, consciousness. Now, aham asmi sada and sada bhami, I am always the illuminator. I am conscious of the consciousness, nature of consciousness. I am the illuminator. I am the knower. Now, when we join these two together, I exist at all times, and then I am of the nature of consciousness, illuminator, and knower. So, sada asmi and sada bhami. So, when we take these two together, now we can come to this conclusion that I exist always. And because I am a witness to the existence of the world around me, not only that, but existence of my body, my sense organs, my pranas, the contents of the mind and its contents, the intellect and its contents, their modification, the modification of my body, the modification of my sense organs. I am the knower and illuminator and witness of that. Not only that, I am also the illuminator of the three planes of consciousness also. And their absence also, the waking and the dream state, absence in the deep sleep state, I am witness to that also. So I have to be an entity other than the body. body, mind, sense organs, and all those things, because I am a witness to that. I am a knower of my experience of the deep sleep state when I don't experience the body or the mind or the intellect equipment or sense organs. That is not experienced there in the deep sleep state. And yet I am aware of the deep sleep experience. So, aham asmi sada, aham bhami sada. So, I am Chit Swarupa, always Chit Swarupa. And because I am the knower. And because I am a Chit Swarupa, I am not these body, mind, intellect equipment. So my existence doesn't depend on this. In their absence also, I continue to exist. Their presence or absence doesn't make any difference to my existence. So aham asmi sada. And of course, our existence in modern terminology, if in modern scientific reasoning, if we have to give, we have already seen this. In when we were discussing the 14 reasons why I cannot be the body, in that we have already discussed this fact that the matter and energy, we have taken this law of conservation from physics, which says that matter and energy, they cannot be created nor they can be destroyed. They can be transformed from one form to another. This we have seen when we were discussing the 14 reasons why I cannot be the body. So matter can neither be created nor destroyed. Matter and energy both. One is gross, the other is subtle. Now, it can be transformed from one form to another. Now, both matter and energy being insentient, inert, non-living, there has to be a conscious knower to the existence and transformation of matter and energy. So, that conscious knower, if the law of conservation of physics is applicable to matter and inert, insentient, non-living matter and energy, it should all the more be applicable to the conscious knower as well. So this conscious knower also cannot be created nor destroyed, nor is subject to transformation, because if it is subject to transformation, it will not know the transformation taking place in the matter and energy. So this conscious knower is not subject to any transformation. It is neither created nor destroyed. So therefore, aham asmi sada, aham bhami sada. Having said that, then kadachit na aham apriyaha. There is no time when I dislike myself. So we love ourselves the most, we don't dislike. Okay, there may be some cases where some people may not like their looks, or they may be ugly looking, so they don't like their looks. Or because of the problems in the body, the pain in the body, or because of the miseries or sufferings like that. So these things may be there, but that is because of the external circumstances which cause them pain, which cause them misery, which cause them sorrow. They love themselves the most. We all love ourselves the most. Now, what are the things we love the most? Those things which appear to give us some kind of joy, pleasure, or happiness, we love that thing the most. Some things may give us less pleasure, some things will give us more pleasure, so we like those things more. We like these things less, which gives less pleasure. And those things which don't give us any pleasure or joy or happiness, we are neutral to that. And those things and beings which tend to give us sorrow, misery, or pain, we distinctly dislike it or hate it. So like that. And then we love those things which give us some kind of joy. But we love ourselves the most. That means we ourselves must be the source of infinite bliss. But in ignorance, we seek it outside. Now we love ourselves the most. Now suppose people who commit suicide out of frustration, out of depression, because something is that gives them sorrow, pleasure, and that they want to end. They don't want to be in that sorrow or the what you call miseries or pain. So they want to end that. That is causing them pain. So they want to get rid of that. So therefore, because they love themselves most and they can't tolerate this, so let me get rid of it. If body is causing pain and there is no cure for that, let me get rid of that. Because I love myself the most, I don't want to carry this pain. So let me get rid of that which is causing the pain. If the body is causing the pain, I may commit suicide and let me get rid of the body. No more that body is there. Because I love myself the most and I can't bear this. And therefore I get rid of that. So those who are unsuccessful or frustrated or depressed and commit suicide and things like that, they also love themselves the most. But what they do, what they dislike is the entities that cause them misery, sorrow, or pain, and to end that, they may get rid of the body. That's it. But if we didn't love ourselves that much, we wouldn't have got rid of all the sorrows, pain that come in our life. Because we love ourselves and we want only happiness, and our nature is only happiness, and therefore we cannot tolerate any sorrow, pain, or misery. So, kadachit na aham apriyah. There is no time when I am not dear to me. I dislike myself. So, aham asmi sada bhami kadachit na aham apriyah brahma eham eva aham atah. And therefore, now I am of the nature of existence because I always exist. I am of the nature of consciousness, Chit Swarupa, because I am the illuminator, witness, and knower of everything. And I am of the nature of Ananda, bliss. So, aham asmi sada bhami kadachit naham apriyah. Brahma eham. Therefore, I am Brahman. Why? Because Brahman itself, it is proven, Siddham, Satchidananda Lakshanam. Because what is the Lakshana of Brahma Tattva? The pure self, the absolute truth, is of the nature of Satchidananda. Existence absolute, consciousness, the knowledge absolute, and the bliss absolute. So I am of the nature of Satchidananda. So this way now Lakshmidhar Kavi has started logically and by reason to prove that how this Jiva itself is Brahman. How this finite looking Jiva is the infinite Brahman, and there is no difference between the two. The difference is only of the Upadhis. Now, having said this, now a doubt arises. Shruti has indicated that Brahman is omniscient and also as the cause of the world. But I am a Tuchha Jiva. I can't create anything. How can I be the cause of the world? It is impossible. And I'm a finite, limited to this body alone. How can I be the cause of the world? My knowledge is also limited. How can I be Sarvajna? And how can I be the cause of the existence? That is not possible. It is beyond my comprehension. Now, in the following verse, it is logically proved that the whole world rises in me and I am the knower of that, thus establishing the identity of Atman and Brahman. What is this? Now, this shloka is important for those who had doubts about where the substratum and the illuminator are one. That entity is an illusion. So, and we have discussed this, the 14th reason why I am not the body was because where the substratum and the illuminator are one, the same, that entity is an illusion. So for the body also, the substratum of the body and the illuminator of the body is the same consciousness, and therefore this body is an illusion. It has got no absolute reality, only it has got a relative reality. So that we have seen. Now the clarification comes in this shloka, third shloka. In fact, that reason, the 14th reason why I am not the body, I had taken from this Advaita Makaranda only. This is the shloka. What is that? Mayyevo dehiti chid vyomni jagat gandharva pattanam atoham nakatham brahma sarvajñam sarvakaranam. Mayyevo udeti chid vyomni jagat gandharva pattanam atah aham nakatham brahma sarvajñam sarvakaranam. Now, Mai eva udeti chid vyomni. In the space of consciousness alone arises, what arises? Jagat Gandharva Pattanam. This world, this sansara, this world, as Gandharva Pattanam. Gandharva Pattanam, like Gandharva Loka, that castles in the space, castles in the air, like that. It's an illusion. Jagat Gandharva Pattanam. Now, when I say Jagat rises in me, it doesn't mean that it rises in the body. It rises in the space of consciousness. So, this body is also part of Jagat only. So, what is this Jagat? Jagat is the object. Anything that is indicated by idam. Idam means this. So, this is object. So, anything we say this, so body also is this only. So, anything that is idam, that is this Jagat. So, that is what Jagat is all about. Whether it is avyakta, vyakta or avyakta, because some things we can see, some things we cannot see. So like that. So air we can feel it, but we can't see. Energy we can feel, but we can't see, something like that. So whether it is manifest or unmanifest, all that can be indicated by this. So that is Jagat. That is part of Jagat. Now, if idam is Jagat, then cause of Jagat should be other than idam. If the object, this insentient inert matter that we see as the Jagat, so if this idam is Jagat, where you point out an object, if that is Jagat, then the cause of that Jagat has to be other than Jagat. Why? Because Jada object cannot be the cause of another Jada object. A Jada world, Jagat, cannot be the cause of this Jada Jagat. Or the many objects put together also cannot be the cause of this Jagat. So it has to be other than Jagat, other than this object. So other than the object, what remains is the subject alone. The subject I, the consciousness. So now it can be said that I, the consciousness, is the cause of this Jagat. Because Jada can't be the cause of Jagat. Therefore, this idam can't be born out of idam or Jagat, this Jada Jagat. So, but then if it is said that Jagat, the cause of the Jagat is I, the consciousness, then again there is a problem. Consciousness cannot be the cause of insentient Jagat. If the Jada, insentient Jagat, can't be cause of insentient Jagat, then the cause has to be other than Jagat. And if I say that I, the consciousness, is the cause of this Jagat, then again there is a problem, because from conscious self, insentient, non-living Jada Jagat cannot emerge from that, cannot be born out of that. So that is also, so to say, wrong. So then this idam, or this anything that is indicated as an object, that only appears in the consciousness, in the Shuddha Aham, pure consciousness, pure self. Herein, I, the consciousness, is the Adhisthana, Karana, or the substratum, that is the immutable cause in which the Jagat appears. Now, experience of Jagat is not there without vritti, without the thought. So, vritti rises in me, and I am the illuminator of that vritti. So, in me, vritti rises, sustains, and get dissolved. Like the waves rises on the surface of the water, and it sustains for some time and then merge back into water. So the thoughts also arise in the space of consciousness, sustain for some time and merges back. So similarly, now here, the important thing is that in me, the vritti arises, sustains and dissolves. That without which the effects can't be established. Now, if we say that The Jada Vastu of the world is the substratum, and consciousness is superimposed on that. Instead of we saying now that consciousness is a substratum and the Jagat appears, the world appears or superimposed on that. But now if somebody argues that no, let that Jada be the substratum and consciousness is actually superimposed on that. Body is the Jada and consciousness is superimposed on that. But then without consciousness, how will the substratum, the Jada substratum, existence of Jada substratum will be established? That cannot be established. So the consciousness has to be accepted. So as its cause, like mud pot can't exist without mud, isn't it? So mud has to be there. Therefore, mud is the cause of the pot. So also, the seen cannot be established without the seer. Anything other than I is the seen, and the seen cannot be established without the seer. That is an important factor. So, therefore, seer is the cause of the seen. So, without the seen being established, the seen cannot be established. The existence of seen cannot be established without the seer. So therefore, seer is the cause of the seen. So Jada can't be the cause of Jada. Consciousness can't be the cause of Jada. And therefore, it is only an appearance. And without this consciousness, the appearance also can't be established. Now, here we have seen. So now, there should be no doubt here. When we are talking about the substratum and the illuminator, the cause and the illuminator of this entire world. So anything that is indicated as idam or this is the world, is the Jagat. And then that idam cannot be the cause of idam. Any part of that Jagat cannot be the cause of Jagat. Jagat cannot be the cause of Jagat. So the cause of that Jagat has to be something other than Jagat. So other than Jagat, only I, the consciousness is there, the pure self is there. Now again, like inert cannot come from inert, so inert cannot come from consciousness also. Insentient Jagat cannot come from consciousness. So if insentient Jagat is seen, there has to be a cause, and if that cause is consciousness, from consciousness insentient Jagat cannot come, then that insentient Jagat is only an appearance, not in reality. It is only an empirical existence or a relative existence, but not a reality. It is only a superimposition. It is only an appearance, like the waves on the surface of the water. And therefore, and here what happens is that in this Jagat, not only the substratum is the consciousness, but the illuminator is also consciousness. Because the seen cannot be established without the seer. So the seer, the knower, the illuminator is consciousness, and this appearance is also in the space of consciousness. So the substratum as well as the illuminator, both are the same consciousness. Now where these both are the same consciousness is the illuminator also and the substratum also, that entity is illusion. Now, the example we had taken when we discussed this 14th reason why I'm not the body was the dream world. The substratum of the dream world is again the consciousness, and the illuminator of the dream world is also consciousness. And the dream world itself is only an appearance, a projection of the thoughts. The individual mind projects the thoughts, and whatever we see, it is only a thought. There is no actual entity there. It is only a thought. That is the dream world. And the waking world is the projection of the total mind, and this is also projection of the thought only. It is only an appearance. As for the dreamer, the dream world is real as long as he is the dreamer. Similarly, for the waker, the waking world is real as long as he is the waker. For the dreamer, the dream world becomes an illusion when he becomes a waker. As long as he is a dreamer, he cannot know that the dream world is an illusion. He takes it as real. Similarly, for a waker, in the waking world, he takes that waking world also real until he transcends the waking plane of consciousness to a higher dimension of consciousness, and then he realizes that waking world is no different than the dream world. So the substratum and the illuminator both are the same consciousness, and therefore this is an illusion. There is no reality to that. And therefore he says that Mai eva udeti chid vyomni jagat gandharva pattanam. So it is in the space of consciousness, this is projected. Ataha aham na katham brahma sarvajnam sarvakaranam. So therefore, how I cannot be this Brahman who is a Sarvajna, all-knowing and the cause of everything, the same Brahman. So therefore, I am also of the nature of the pure self, Brahman alone, because it arises in me, and I am the illuminator, I am the knower, as well as I am the substratum where it arises. Now here, one thing has to be understood. The means of knowledge that we discussed previously, that is the Pratyaksha Pramana. Pratyaksha Pramana, why it is invalid in many times? Because there is a misapprehension also most of the time. When we see a snake, and then it can be negated. But the substratum is never negated. Substratum remains the same. That is another way of understanding that substratum, the substratum cannot be contradicted or negated. So the snake, the illusory snake on the rope can be negated, but not the rope itself. The substratum cannot be negated. So this, if you take the Jada Jagat as the substratum, that can be negated because that is subject to change, continuously changing. If you take the substratum as the continuously changing inert object, then that is continuously changing. There has to be the existence of that constantly changing Jagat has to be, substratum has to be established. Without knower, it cannot be established. So therefore, and then consciousness cannot be changing, because if it continuously changes, then it also becomes an insentient object. So consciousness remains the same, and therefore it can know, because it is outside the field of change, it can know the changes. At the same time, it is the substratum of that without changing itself, and therefore I am the substratum and I am the illuminator. Here, many a times we get confused, because how can I be the illuminator or how can I be the substratum? Because other than I, nothing else exists. By logical analysis, we come to this conclusion that the world arises as the dream world arises in my own mind. In the dream state, when I'm asleep and I'm dreaming, it arises in my own mind. It was projected through the mind, and where did it disappear when I wake up? It merged back from where it came. It was only projection of thoughts. So similarly, on the substratum of consciousness, the projection of this world is there, and because it is the projection of the total mind, so if one mind disappears, it doesn't affect the world. As the dream world immediately disappears as soon as I wake up, because it is a projection of the individual mind, but not the total mind. So that will remain. If the individual mind also goes, it doesn't matter. But the thing is that it is at the substratum is the consciousness, and the illuminator is the pure self, the same consciousness. And wherever these two are there, that means in everything. Body is part of this Jagat only. It comes under the purview of idam, this, we indicated as this. And therefore, this has got no reality, no absolute reality. It has got only relative reality, empirical reality. As long as we are waker in the waking world, this waking world is as much real to us as the dream world is real to the dreamer. So, as long as we are waker in the waking world, so we follow here whatever it is, but then as this knowledge matures within us, we don't take this waking world too seriously. You see, so I am the substratum and the illuminator of this Jagat. Jagat is mithya, or it has got a relative reality only. Therefore, Jagat can't be too much for me. I can't take this seriously. It can't be too much for me, as the millions and millions of waves are not too much for the water. It arises and it merges back in the water. Similarly, this Anantakoti Brahmanda arises and merges back in the consciousness, the substratum consciousness. So it should not be too much for us. So, Mai eva udeti chidvyomni jagat gandharva pattanam ataha aham na katham brahma sarvajñam sarvakaranam. So therefore, I am Sarvajña also and Sarvakaranam also. Therefore, I am Sarvajña, that is knower, illuminator, and Sarvakaranam, the substratum. Because whatever the cause is there, cause is the substratum of all the effects. So, if the effect is there, effect can be established only by cause. Without cause, the effect cannot be established. If the effect is there, there has to be a cause. And without cause, the effect cannot be established. If the world is seen, there has to be a cause. If there is an illusory snake, there has to be a cause of a real rope. So without the real rope, an illusion cannot be projected. An illusion is projected, it has to have the substratum of reality. An illusion of the play of light and sound is projected on the screen of reality, called the cinema screen. So if the illusion of mirage water has to be projected, there has to be a substratum, the real substratum of the hot desert sand, to project that illusion. So for an illusion to exist also, there has to be a solid substratum of reality. So therefore, these may be mithya, but the substratum and the illuminator, they are the real. In reality, nothing exists other than I, the pure self. That is Advaita Makaranda. Now, having seen this, again, one may ask, what proof is there that Atman does not perish? Now, Lakshmidhar Kavi gives arguments to prove that the nature of Atman is imperishable. That is in the next shloka that we'll see in our next session. So today's session, beginning itself, the first shloka itself was very important, the Mangal shloka, and the second shloka, establishment of our existence. And then the most important confusing thing about the substratum and the illuminator being the same, when then that entity being an illusion. And therefore, this entire creation is an illusion. It has got a relative reality. That's all, nothing more. So with this, we conclude today's session. If anybody has got any questions regarding today's session, they may ask.
Yes, Swamiji, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
My confusion still has not gone.
Tell me.
About the illuminator and substratum.
Okay.
Because the presumption goes like this, that if illuminator and substratum are identical, then illusion will take place, or illusory world will take place. So anyway, I will go through the recording once again, and we also have the similar recording in our previous book. But I wish to, instead of going into this, is not enough to mention. See, what it is trying to prove is that the perceived world is a vivarta of the consciousness.
Yeah, it is vivarta only.
Vivarta of consciousness, just as this
vivarta
snake is
just an appearance.
Appearance. Just as the snake is the vivarta of rope. So is it not enough to say we perceive the world in the form of thought? So this thought is inert, as we saw in the previous book.
Here also it is mentioned, Mai eva udeti chidvyomni. So the thought arises. It is sustained and dissolved.
So thought is an inert, and so whatever is perceived through a mind in the form of thought, so those perception, that is sense objects, they are also illusory or mithya, or say vivarta of the consciousness. It's not enough to know only this much.
That is also enough. Vivartavada is in Vedanta, Vivartavada is only there. See, as long as creation is concerned, there are various theories of creation. in different Upanishads also, in different scriptures also, in different religions also. And of course, science has come up with their own theories of creation, Big Bang theory and all that thing is there. But Vedanta accepts the Vivartavada. Vivartavada is just an appearance. That's all. But to whom is it appearing? Okay. So, in ignorance, it appears to us as a jiva. In ignorance, it appears to us. As a realizer of truth, there is no appearance of that. So you see, it is just an appearance, vivarta only, but the explanation has to be given. How this vivarta happens? Why this vivarta happens? Because when somebody is experiencing the real world, he refuses to accept it as vivarta or an illusion, or it has got a relative reality. So explanation has to be given how it has to, then the comparison of the waking world with the dream world, and so on, and the reasons from where the inner world can manifest, how it can manifest, what could be the cause. Without the cause, the effect cannot be there. If there is an effect, there has to be a cause. So we go into that. And when we go deeper and deeper into that, then all the explanation will come like this. And therefore, ultimately, what is the truth is that nothing exists other than the self. That's all. If there is something existing, that is only an appearance, that is a vivarta. So, in the substratum and the illuminator, all together is only one. Okay, it is just one. And if anything other than that is there, it is not real. It has got a relative reality. That's all.
So, Swamiji, in Sushupti, substratum is also there.
Yeah.
Illuminator is also there.
Yes.
But there is an experience of absence.
Absence of the waking and the dream world.
Right, because the mind is not there.
Because mind intellect is absent, experience of body is also not there. But the experience of deep sleep state is there. I didn't know anything, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You see, so there was an illuminator to that experience.
So the entire process is just for the negation of the superimposition, so that I can remain focused in in the subject, say.
In the self, subject the self.
Subject is self. Yeah.
So to negate the superimposition and to focus on that, and not to take the superimposition too seriously. Many things are happening in the superimposition. So we should not take it too seriously. Things are happening like that, good, bad, and all that thing is happening there. So let it happen. They are in the relative existence, let it happen. But it should not be taken too seriously. It should not affect us. As a spiritual seeker, this is the advantage we have. Having known that, it should not affect us.
Right.
Then we are really the spiritual seeker. If we get affected by now that it is a projected world, it is an appearance, and that appearance affects us, then we are yet not a serious spiritual seeker, a sincere spiritual seeker. So that is an important aspect when we are on the spiritual path and this knowledge is maturing within us. Then more and more it matures, we get less and less affected by the external world, and more at peace we are. You see, and always cheerful. When that is not there, we get affected by every small thing. Little temperature rises, we get affected. Oh, what is happening? Something goes well.
Okay, thank you, Swamiji. Anybody else want to put a question?
Actually, what was,
louder, louder.
Actually, what was made to believe in the previous book is actually bombarded and exploded in the next book.
So systematically, we have to go higher and higher, isn't it? That is good.
Yeah.
That is why I have taken this Advaita Makaranda. It is a small text, but very deep, very subtle one. And this is for advanced seekers only, advanced sadhakas. Those who have studied a little bit of Vedanta, for them this is good. This Advaita Makaranda.
Yeah.
So this cannot be taken in the beginning itself. No, it will be too much. So this is taken after we study some of the Vedantic texts we study. After that only we take Advaita Makaranda.
Yeah. Anybody else? Any question?
No question, Swamiji, but I really enjoyed.
Oh, excellent.
I enjoyed it. somehow I don't understand much scripture, but what you said, I felt that is the ultimate, that's the truth.
So I'm very happy to hear that you enjoyed it. That is good. You have to enjoy everything.
Swamiji, auntie belongs to Bhakti Marg.
But Bhakti Marg also ultimately ends in Jnana only.
No, that is why I said, Swamiji, I enjoy it because that is the truth. I understand what you said.
Yeah. You see, our Tukaram Maharaj was a great Bhakta of Lord Vithala. And then when his Bhakti reached the Parakashta, then the Bhakta and the object of Bhakti became one. And he had Advaita Darshana. And therefore in Abhangas, in the latter part of his Abhangas, he expounds on Advaita Vedanta. How come a Bhakta becomes an Advaita Vedantin?
Swamiji, Swamiji, it's worthwhile to mention that auntie, after 14 days, came out of the hospital due to this corona. Immediately she wrote on our WhatsApp study circle. Okay, one who comes out of after 14 days of the corona, a lot of pain and all those things. And after coming back, if he says that I am not the body, he's a real realized soul.
Very good.
But that is the truth, I'm telling you.
Yes, of course. That is what it should be.
No, because Swamiji, when I was in a very bad state, I could I cannot express it, but I knew there is a seer who is watching.
And you are the seer.
Yes, I'm the seer within me. Yeah.
Yes.
Anybody else would like to share? Jayant is there or not?
Yeah, he's very much there.
Jayant, would you like to share? Vimalji? Raseshwari?
No, thank you, Pankajji.
Yeah. Okay, then Swami, we'll call it a day.
Okay, we'll conclude it then.
Yeah.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Harihi Om.